It's your birthday. You're finally 16, and it feels like you've waited your whole life for this very moment.
Oh my God, it's so cute!
You get your license and you gotta buy your first car. And quickly you realize there's so many choices and they're all so different. So what do you pick? Well, none of these. These cars are dreadful. They're dumb. And some, they're downright deadly. These are the 6 worst cars that no one should buy as their first car. And if you're new here, my name is Brad Danger. So go ahead and smash that subscribe button and then turn on the notification bell because we're coming out with new content every single day. You ready? Because I am. Let's go. Tickets. Something that everybody wants to avoid, especially new drivers. Because if you get a ticket before turning 25, you can expect a huge rise in insurance rates. Not ideal, right? So what if I were to tell you that the first car on this list is the most ticketed car on the road today? So what is it? Well, it's the Subaru WRX. Not only is the WRX the most ticketed car on the road, but over 1/3, yes, 1 out of every 3 drivers of a WRX has gotten a ticket in the last 3 years. So, if you're a new driver, you might have a hard time convincing your parents to get you that shiny WRX. And for less than 1,000th of the price, you could get this beautiful R34 shirt, one of our best sellers, up here. Because you'd think that the WRX is a Subaru, so it would be reliable, right? But that's just not true. Oh no, whether it's the head gasket or the transmission, they're both known to fail without warning. And that not only leaves you stranded, but it becomes an expensive fix. Something your piggy bank just doesn't want to experience. Because sometimes those fixes actually cost more than the value of the car itself. So it's pretty much totaled, right? Well, why are Subaru WRXs such cool cars? Because they're lightweight, they're quick, and they handle like they're on rails. Not to mention how easy and cheap it is to make the EJ motor make some serious horsepower. And all that obtainable power can be pumped through a silky smooth manual transmission, making it a great choice for a car enthusiast. And better yet, the Subaru WRX is offered in both a sedan and a wagon. So the WRX, which stands for World Rally Experimental, is a cool car, but it does have some serious drawbacks. So is it worth the risk? Well, one thing I can tell you for sure is that what's not worth the risk is the Mazda RX-8. You got engine failures, bad coil packs, catalytic converter failures, power steering harness failures, engine flooding, starters, and bent clutch pedal mounts are literally just a few of the common problems of the Mazda RX-8. To say these things are unreliable is an understatement. God, I'm getting a headache just thinking about all the issues this thing has. Because you can pretty much boil down all these problems to one thing, that little 1.3 liter Wankel rotary engine. These engines failed so often that Mazda extended the powertrain warranty to 8 years or 100,000 miles, whichever came last. No, I'm just kidding, whichever came first. And it got so bad that they had to build an entire factory in America to handle all the recalls. But if you were one of the fortunate few that your starter wasn't bad and you got the car to fire up, you'd hear that mighty little Dorito engine, pumping out 232 horsepower with a 6-speed manual transmission. And one thing that we all know about rotary engines is they love to play in the high revs. And this thing had a 9,000 RPM redline, and you gotta rev it out because if you didn't, this engine would die of carbon buildup. So you're pretty much encouraged to hoon your car. Hell yeah! If you're looking to buy a first car, just make sure this isn't it. And you can thank me later, but you just don't want to deal with all the maintenance this thing's gonna throw at you. And something else you don't want to deal with your first car is snap oversteer. And this next car has a bunch of that. Are you wondering what car I'm talking about? I'm talking about the notorious Toyota MR2. So, what is snap oversteer? It's when you're mid-corner and you let off the gas and the back end steps out. Then when you try to correct, the rear of the car will swing one way, then quickly snap to the other. And the next thing you know, you're wrapped around a tree. And not only have you totaled your car, but your dignity and your wallet. The MR2 comes with 200 horsepower, and that's in the top of the range turbo model. So it's fair to say that they're pretty quick. And they kind of look like a Ferrari if you close one eye and kind of squint with the other. But what's more awesome than all of that? Pop-up headlights. And since it's a Toyota, it's reliable. MR2s are known to last hundreds of thousands of miles, so it's definitely outlasting its identical twin from Ferrari. And I know what you're thinking. It's extremely tempting, but don't fall for it. If this is your first car, it might be your last. Trust me, get something far more easy to learn on the road. And then by using the ideal car strategies, you can work your way up to a widowmaker like the MR2. And the MR2's costs are fairly low to keep up. And a car that costs a lot more to keep up is a BMW 7 Series. A BMW 7 Series to me just proves that you have money. Sure, they cost a lot to buy, but the real cost is hidden in the upkeep. No matter what generation or model, they're gonna be expensive to keep on the road. And that's due to them having a lot of top of the line technology built into them. And most of those gadgets are just a little too overcomplicated. And so I think you know what that means. They're all gonna break. And not only that, it's gonna cost you an arm and a leg to fix. I don't know about you, but I just don't have that kind of money with YouTube and how much they're paying us. Hey YouTube, pay us more. And the Break My Wallet special has a second trick up its sleeve because it's also expensive on insurance. Yeah, believe it or not, the BMW 7 Series is the country's 9th most expensive car to insure. Yeah, and that's taking into account all of the supercars and luxury cars you can buy today. So it's easy to see why there's a certain stigma surrounding BMW drivers. And the 7 Series is a prime example of this. So, is there any icing on the cake? Well, I don't really know, but at least they can be had for under 5,000 bucks. And if you ask me, you'll look like $1 million bucks. But if you don't care about looking like $1 million bucks, you could go out and buy a Chevy AVEO. But you won't, or at least you shouldn't. The AVEO came to the US market in 2004, and despite its low price, it was still a crappy little car, even when it was brand new. So just imagine a cheap little economy car that now is over 15 years old. No. No! Just say no. Not only have the bodies of these econoboxes just wilted away, their engines have suffered from many problems. And you would think, small engine, small problems, but that's not the case with the 1.6 liter. It only pushed out 108 horses, which took a mind-blowing 10.2 seconds to get to 60 miles per hour. And that's foot to the floor. Yeah, it wouldn't come any sooner than that. And here's the toughest thing to wrap your head around with the Chevy AVEO. It only costs a couple $100s to buy. So when it runs out of gas, it's pretty much totaled. And if you gotta get an oil change or fix the alternator or even put air in the tires, it might not be worth the cost because some of those repairs cost half or more of the car's value. So it's no wonder why most of these have ended up in the junkyard. And one rig that would climb through the junkyard, yet you still shouldn't buy, is the Hummer H2. The Hummer H2 might just be the worst vehicle a first car buyer could buy, ever. Because not only is the H2 big and bulky, it lacks pretty much every modern safety feature. And while it may look like a life-size Tonka truck, somehow it was like a status symbol in the early 2000s. And not only did it just look ridiculous, the gas mileage was ridiculous too. It gets 9 miles per gallon. Yeah, that's right, 9 miles per gallon. Single digits, baby. But if you're like me, you can look past that, right up until you need to park it, because visibility out of these is a nightmare. And let's not forget about how much of a douche you're just gonna look like rolling up in one of these. So it's just best if you stay away from the Hummer H2, because if you do end up getting one as your first car, you're bound to hit something, or more likely, a lot of things. So Ideal fam, what was or is gonna be your first car? Believe it or not, my first car was a 1991 318 IS. Yes, it was a BMW. But the little motor, the M42, is actually really reliable, and the 5-speed manual transmission really helped me learn how to drive a momentum car. And down in the comments, let us know some of the worst first cars that you know of that we left off the list. Collectively, I think we can save a lot of people a potential nightmare. And if you're new here, my name's Brad Danger. This is Ideal Media. Hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. If you liked the vid, hit the like button once, and if you disliked it, really let us know. Hit the dislike button twice. And also check out some of our other Ideal content. And as always, keep living the ideal lifestyle.